Hey everyone, welcome to Slite's office hours. I see we already have a few people in the meeting, but I think we're gonna give it 1 or 2 minutes and then we're gonna start the session. I should have prepared some music for these first few minutes. It's always a little bit awkward to sit here in silence, but yeah, we can definitely use the chat and feel free to drop some messages there. So we have people from Belgium, from Washington. I'm coming to you from the Netherlands. So it looks like we have a mixed group. France is there. Very nice. All right, I think I'm slowly gonna start with the introductions, and then we'll have people join over the next few minutes. We'll have some time before we start the official program. So once again, welcome everyone. Welcome to Slite's office hours. It's been a little while since we hosted our last office hours, but starting from now, we're back with this format every month. And for those of you who have been in previous sessions, what we'll do is we'll go over a few different topics. So first of all, I want to update you on any of the new features that we released at Slite. Want to take a sneak peek into our roadmap, and then we'll do a deep dive into a specific topic. And for today, we'll talk about how to use actionable insights to actually improve your knowledge base. The session is open for everyone to contribute. Many of you already found the chat. Feel free to drop any suggestions, any questions, any feedback there. And we'll make it a bit of an interactive session today. Now, our session also will be recorded because, we have users, we have customers from all over the world, so it's very hard to find a time that works for everyone. So that means that the recording will be sent to everyone that had signed up for the event, and people can actually have a look. They can replay the recording. It also means that if you need to drop off a little early, that's okay. You'll still have the recording, so you can always watch some of the parts a little bit later. All right, I think we're gonna get started, and I'm gonna pull up my screen. So let me see, I have to find the right one, because as usual, I have a few too many windows open. But here we go. All right, perfect. So I'll take you to my screen. That means like I can no longer see the chat, but I'll pause for a second after every agenda item to see if we have any feedback or any questions. So like I said, we'll have 3 sections today, and we're going to start with some of the new features. And the last office hours we did was, I think, maybe in November or beginning of December. So I didn't pick everything that was released between then and now, but I picked some of the highlights that I wanted to show. And the first one I wanted to show is around our knowledge management panel. So our knowledge management panel is sort of your cockpit when it comes to managing the content in your knowledge base. And we added some AI power to it. And you can already see it here in the little video, but basically what you can do is you can filter for specific documents using natural language. And also want to show you an example. So if we go to the knowledge management panel in this account, you'll see that you have the AI assistant right here, and we can ask a question. So I can ask, show me all my docs from the customer success channel that are not verified, and click enter. And you'll see that it will actually take this prompt and update the filter. So you see, like, it's not verified, it's owned by me because I say all my docs, customer success is the channel, and then this is how yeah, they're displayed. So it always starts with the most viewed documents. And here I can find a selection of my documents. So that's a really easy way to quickly find the things that you need and take action. If we go back to the next one, some very exciting improvements to Ask also made its way to Slite. Now, many of you know Ask. You can question your knowledge base in natural language, so you can ask questions to your knowledge base. And when we just released that, it was really geared towards written language content that was created in Slite, so that was living in your documents. But we extended that for a bit. So now Ask is also able to read tables that you have. It can piece together content from collections. And if you add PDFs to your documents, it's also able to extract information from PDFs. So that's really, really great. Also want to show you an example, of course. And just quickly gonna go to another document. And I want to take collections as the example. So right here we have a collection around projects from a specific team, and you'll see that it has a title, it has a tag that is used for the status, it has a person that's responsible, it has a couple of different fields. And yeah, before Ask was not really able to piece together that status and cancelled were two things that were connected, but now it actually understands. So it's a little bit smarter now. So that also means that if we go to Ask and we ask a question, like which data analytics project was cancelled, so something that's really apparent from the collection, we can ask it. And oh no, I tested this before and it worked, and you will always see that when it needs to perform, it doesn't work. Let me see if I can phrase it in a different way. No, I think this is the simplest way to do it. Okay, you have to believe me that it actually works and that this is just the way it always happens. When you're doing a demo, all of a sudden it decides not to work anymore. Sorry for that. Maybe we'll find another example in a bit. I already see people laughing. Your demo gods are really, really cruel. You're absolutely right, Thomas. That's why I always test before I go into these meetings, and still, it's not 100% foolproof. Anyways, we're gonna move on to the next. If you go into your own Slide accounts, feel free to test this and play around with it, and you'll see that Ask is actually able to make this work most of the time. All right, one more feature I wanted to highlight, and this is a bigger one, so I wanted to take some time to talk you through this. But a few weeks ago, we released external sources for Slite. And what that means is that you can connect other tools to Slite, and the information you connect from those tools, that can actually be used when you're using Ask. So for example, that means that if you want to ask a question to Ask, but content to support that question, to help answer that question, is something that you have in Linear or Slack or maybe Google Drive. If you connect those tools, it can actually factor that in, and it can help you to more accurately answer the question. And the reason we did this is that we know like a knowledge base is definitely your single source of truth, but it doesn't contain all company information. Like project management information is really something that lives in Linear, for example. That's the tool that we use for project management. But then also, if you're using a tool like Slack, a lot of casual conversation and a lot of updates happen over Slack. And it might not necessarily be something that needs to be documented in your knowledge base, but it can really help to, factor that information in to get the most accurate answer. Now, the way to set this up is if you go into your settings, and you'll find the tab External Sources. And here you can add those external sources to Slite. Now, it's good to note that this information will not be moved over to your knowledge base, so it's different than importing content, but it will be connected to Ask. Now, for now, we have 3 different tools that you can connect out of the box, but our team is looking to add more. So if there's anything you would love to see, drop it in the chat right now. I know we have Chris, our CEO, here as well. And I know that this is a question that he's absolutely curious about. So drop your suggestions. But when we do this, for example, if we take Google Drive, what you can do is you can select a folder or multiple folders and connect these folders to Slite. Now, when you do that, you'll see that in this instance, we connected 3 folders from Google Drive with various documents. And we can also set the access. So we can say like, hey, I connected these customer success resources. For now, I want to keep them private to me. So only if I ask questions, I would be able to find this source. But I can also open it up for my team so that everyone can find this. Same for Slack. You'll also see that you can connect multiple Slack channels. And if we go back to Slite, I also want to show you what that looks like. And I think for this instance, I'm actually going to go to our own Slite instance because I have some more exciting examples there. So I'm going to go to this account and I'm going to ask a question, and keep your fingers crossed with me that right now it works. So we're going to ask this question right here. And what you'll see is that luckily this time we get an answer. And you can see that for the sources, it's coming from a PDF in Google Drive. So it's one of those external sources that we connected and not something that actually lives in Slite itself. So it's not a Slite document as you would normally see with Ask, but it's really one of those external sources. All right, I'm gonna pause real quick. And I already see some really good suggestions. Asana, definitely one that comes up quite a lot. Zendesk, HubSpot, GitHub, and then Microsoft, of course. Yeah, thank you so much for these suggestions. That's super helpful. And I see that Chris is already answering some questions in the chat. Thank you for being my assistant today. All right, I do see another question. If we connect a Slack channel to Slite, will Slite guest be able to read it when they make a research? Okay. So you mean a guest user in Slite. So guests, at this moment, they don't have access to Ask, so they won't be able to use it. They really have limited information to the documents and the channels you share with them, but their access is quite limited in that sense. And then the other question we see is, would the Slack connection work for private channels? It seems that the Slite bot doesn't respond on private channels. No, it needs to be public channels. You're right about that. And the feature for external sources, it is live. So this is actually a feature that has been released. If I quickly go back to my Slite account, if you click on the name of your account, you can go into the settings and you'll see external sources and the opportunity to add external sources. And right now we have these three available. And as I mentioned, hopefully using your feedback, we'll add some more to the list very soon. Google Calendar, that's also an interesting one. And next question, what is counted as an external source? So that is a folder, for example, in Google Drive, or if we look at Slack, that's a channel. So I have 4 external sources when it comes to Slack, and then 3 for Google Drive. And the limitations per plan. Yes, good question as well. So right now, and this is still something that we're developing, like this is a new feature that we're building out. So we'll have to see how it works and what fits best. But right now, if you're on our standard plan, you have 3 external sources. And then if you move to premium, I don't think we have a limit. No, unlimited connections of external sources. And the same will be for enterprise as well. All right. I think we're going to move to the next section, but thank you so much for all of these questions and suggestions. That's super helpful. I think that's always my favorite part about these meetings, like getting all of your feedback. If we scroll a little bit down, I also want to show you what is coming next. So external sources, that's still work in progress, and we're going to explore that further, maybe add extra new sources in the coming months. But also if we look ahead, I can show you a couple of other things. In general, I can share that over the coming months, we'll really have a heavy focus on core product improvements. So that all the things that you use on a daily or a weekly basis, the editor, using tables, using comments, the collections, those are really things that we want to take a good look at and make sure that they are as crisp as they can be. So that will be a heavy focus of our team. Doesn't mean that we'll stop developing new features, but we'll definitely make sure that the core ones just work as smooth as possible, and they really help you to accomplish your goals. Some new things that I can highlight. First of all, we're working on something which has the working title Enterprise Analytics. So specifically for bigger companies, we often get questions about wanting to have more data, which is also fitting with the topic that we have today for office hours. And what we're developing right now is basically an extension to Workspace Analytics. And 2 main things would be that you can set your own time frame for the analytics. And then for each of the segments that you have when it comes to analytics, you can download a CSV with more information. So you can also slice and dice the information in any way possible, make your own reports, and really see like, hey, how am I doing in terms of adoption? Which teams are performing well? Which teams might need some extra attention? So you can make more informed decisions. Just quickly taking a look at the chat to see if there's any questions, but I think this one is pretty straightforward in a sense. So we can move to the next one, which is a fun one. Maybe you've seen it, but our team released a magic document formatter, and it's something I wanted to show you real quick. Now, for example, if we go to a document like this is often a document that I use in training sessions to show people like, hey, how can you actually format your document in a way that invites people to read it, to make sure that you get your message across to your team. And this then is a really bad example. This basically is a how not to do it. And in the training, I'll show you how to do headers and hints and sketches and all of the fun stuff that we have in Slite, but it's a manual way of doing it. Now, with the document formatter, you can actually paste in some of your text and Slite will do the formatting for you. And it can also create a document based on the type of content that it is. So maybe you're writing meeting notes or technical documentation. So we'll take your input and then turn it into something that is, a good way of presenting that type of documentation. And we can try it real quick. And the reason that I'm showing you this right now, so right now it's a standalone type of product, but we're thinking of moving this into Slite. So basically with every document that you create, that you don't have to follow my rules of manually updating it, but that we can actually make suggestions for you and we can update your documents. So you only have to focus on what you want to tell your team. It has been shipped already. It is live. I haven't even seen it. See, we're moving so fast that sometimes I even can't keep up. But that is great news. I'm also gonna look at the chat right now. The improve button. Yeah, we can try it on the call actually. So if I go back to my example and we click the improve, see, I didn't even see that yet. It is interesting because it's now creating my dog in Spanish. So maybe it needs like a tiny polish. We're not gonna do it. If you want to play around with the magic document formatter, I will share a link to that towards the end of our session, so you can play around with it. Yeah. Spanish documents. All right. Amazing. Gonna go back to our document over here. So that's what I wanted to cover for upcoming features and the things that we're working on right now. Again, if you have any suggestions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We have a lot of Slite eyes and ears on it right now. So this is a really good moment to do that. And if there's any questions on the roadmap or any of the upcoming features, feel free to let us know as well. I see one more question. The improve, it goes via your open API token, right? Yeah, so Thomas, I think if I understand your question correct, the improve is one of the AI features of Slite. So it is indeed something that will go towards your limit. Okay, then over to our main topic of today, which is all around analytics. and how to use those insights to really help to improve your knowledge base. And in Slide, we have insights on different levels, and I wanted to highlight three of them today. So workspace level, ask insights, as that is becoming one of the core features of Slide and core ways of finding information. And then also take a look at document insights. So if we go to the workspace level, this is mostly interesting for those people that own the workspace, that have an admin license, or are knowledge managers in their company. But again, you can go into your settings and go into workspace analytics. And actually, I should change to my other account because this is a demo account, so nothing is happening. So it gives a really bad example. So I'm going to go to our actual account. And here you can also see that I already have access to the first draft of Enterprise Analytics, so I can change the period. Hopefully this is something that you can also see soon. But first thing that you can see is the adoption of Slite, so the percentage of your team that has used Slite. And this really depends on your goal with your knowledge base. I think for us, we have a lot of guests in our account. We have a lot of people that we wouldn't consider to be active users, people that are not a part of our core team. So 66% is a little bit on the lower side. But if you take a look at our use case and how we have distributed licenses, it actually makes sense. So this number, I just want to say, it really depends on your use case. If you have, for example, a company handbook in Slide, you might only see about 50% of active users because people go there when they have a question, when they need something. But if they've already been an employee for a couple of years and everything is smooth sailing, they might not consult the knowledge base that much. On the other hand, if you really make Slide like a core piece of how your team collaborates and shares information, so for example, if you also do meeting notes, or if you create product specs, or if you have a customer-facing knowledge base, or maybe your support and sales team heavily relies on Slide to get the right information for their customers, then you'll probably want to see 80 to 90% of adoption. So just want to give you a couple of benchmarks to understand, like, hey, what is a good number? Then also document creation. So this shows you the documents that were created over time. When you'll start your Slide account, you'll see a little bit of a honeymoon period, usually, where a lot of people are importing content, creating new content, but after the first 3 months, that will probably stabilize quite a bit. I think you can always see peaks, and most of the time they correlate with how your business operates. So for example, if you work in quarters and beginning of the quarter, you do a lot of planning and a lot of updating, you'll probably see those spikes. But overall, I think you want to make sure that this is quite stable over time. You can also zoom into channels and understand what is happening in different channels. So this is my channel, for example. And here in February, I cleaned up a lot of our policies and a lot of our SOPs, for example, and now I'm more into maintenance mode. Here you can also see the top readers, and especially the top writers is something that's really interesting. Top readers, you'll most of the time find some newer employees there. And top writers can really help you to understand, like, hey, who are those people that naturally are good at documentation? And these could be people that can help you with maintaining the knowledge base. They can be champions in their own teams to help their teams adopt and see the value of maintaining a knowledge base. So really keep an eye on these people. Like these are your go-to people. Then towards the bottom, this more talks about the effectiveness of your knowledge base. Now, when we think about Slide, we often refer to this flywheel of finding information, creating information, and then maintaining information. And you'll see that with a knowledge base, like one of those key pillars is really for people to find the information that they were looking for, to help them get unstuck, to unblock them in their day-to-day and basically work autonomously. So with that, if they're using search, it's really important that they're able to find something that correlates to their search. And this gives you an indication of that. So here you can see that 83% of people, they clicked true on one of the search results. So that indicates that from the search results, there was likely one thing in there that could be of use to them. If this number is really low, and with really low, I mean maybe less than 60%, that probably means that the way your team searches doesn't quite match with how things are documented. So maybe you're using the wrong keywords. Maybe things are phrased incorrectly. Maybe people are searching for content that has never been documented or maybe isn't part of the knowledge base. So definitely a good indicator to understand, like, hey, is my knowledge base serving the needs of my audience? From this overview, it's hard to see, like, hey, what is exactly wrong? But for that, you can definitely survey your team. And again, also those champions could be a good way to start. And going back to the chat, I see a question from Ed. Can the data here be exported? So not yet. So this is one of the new features I just talked about. So this is coming for you. Right now, I already have access to it, but for your accounts, likely in a couple of weeks, you'll be able to download and get more information. And the other question, ask for information. Does this also count questions raised through the extensions like Google Chrome? Yes, that is correct. So you can also see that we have a Chrome extension. Oop. And it's opening up. And you can use ask and search there. If you use ask from the Chrome extension, that also counts as a AI question query. And the other question I see is, can you break down statistics per user group? So user groups is not something that we have in the scope right now, but I think that's a really interesting suggestion. So right now, how we break it down is more per channel, so more looking at the groups of content, but the groups of people is definitely something that's interesting as well. So let me make a note real quick so we don't forget about that. And there's more questions. Thank you. All right. Question on guests. What if you reach the limit of 5 guests per member? Is there an option to increase the guest limits? Yes, I think there's ways to get around it. If that happens, feel free to reach out to our support team, and we can always see if we can update your contract and find a way to make it work. The limit is there in your account, but of course, like, there's ways where we can work together to support your use case. And I saw the other question, does Ask's analytics reporting exclude the workspace owner from it? I don't think so, but if there's anything you noticed, feel free to let me know. But it should include, the usage from every member of the workspace, so also admins and the workspace owner. All right, so you're seeing 0% on the accounts. Okay, keep an eye on it if you like, and if in 1 or 2 days and you've been using Ask and you still see 0%, let us know through support, and we can help to troubleshoot it. Oh, month or two. Yeah, that should definitely already show. I know that it can sometimes take up to 24 to 84 hours to show the right statistics, but definitely a month or two that should show. If you can ping our support team, we'd love to investigate that case for you. I think it's a little bit too specific to dive into right now, and I probably don't have the right tools. Okay, I think that was all the questions, but ping me if I forgot one of them. I'm gonna go back to our workspace analytics and we'll move on to the topic that we already talked about, so Ask and the insights there. So this shows you the percentage of your team that has used Ask. And this, like I said, this is members, admins, and workspace owners. Guests don't have access to Ask, so they're not included. And if you share a document via a public link, you can include Ask, but that is not something that we track because we don't know how many people see your document and how many of them use Ask. So this is really internal usage. And then same also the number of questions that were submitted to Ask. And if we want to dive a little bit deeper, we can actually go to the Ask Insights. And this gives you an overview of the unanswered Ask questions. And this is super valuable information to help build out your knowledge base. When we talked about search and the fact that people might or might not click through to a document, that's a good indication, but you always need to further investigate. So you always need to ask questions to your team, to your champions to understand what is happening. With Ask, we can actually already give you a lot of data. So you can see like, hey, these are questions that were asked, but yeah, we were not able to answer them because we don't have the documentation. So right here you see like, hey, who's in the marketing team? Who's in the design team? That means that maybe we have a new employee that wants to understand like, hey, what does our org chart look like? Who do I reach out to? And that's something that we haven't documented. So that would be something that could be good to pick up. Right. Yeah, so that's for Workspace Analytics and Ask. For those of you that use Ask, definitely go to this section. Like I said, it can give you so many good insights into what might be missing. And you can filter on internal docs, so really the ones that are valid for your team, but also if you're using Ask as a public help center. This helps you to understand like, hey, what kind of questions are my customers maybe asking that are not documented. Okay, time is moving quickly. I think officially we have about 7 more minutes, but I have one topic to still explore. And just going to go back to my demo account right here. And that is around the document insights. So while the workspace settings, the Ask Insights, that's a little bit more geared towards people that own the knowledge base. Doc Insights is actually something that is interesting for everyone that writes content. So for today, for example, I prepared this office hours document. And if I hover over the top, over the verification, it's a little bit hidden. But here I can find document information as well. And I can pull up the insights. So you can see that I worked on it today. I have one colleague that viewed the document, but over time you'll also see that maybe other colleagues are visiting the doc and they see it. I can see the number of unique views. If I'm collaborating with my team, it might make sense to see the edits, but I would say that most of the time the unique views is really something that can help. And we can also see the public views, as this is a public document. And actually already had 6 views, so that's pretty good. But yeah, the most important things here are the people that have viewed it. So let's say this is maybe an important update, a new policy that I want to share with my team. Via this section, I can keep an eye on, hey, is this actually reaching all of my team members? Are people seeing my updates? Have they acknowledged it? Or do I need to ping them again? And then the other thing, when we look at the unique views over time, that also helps me to understand, like, hey, is this something that's still being used? Is it something that's valuable to the team? Does it maybe make sense that I keep updating it, that I keep verifying it? Or is it maybe something that no one ever sees and I shouldn't spend time on? Maybe I should just archive it. So this can really help you to make decisions as well. And with that, so this is a public document, and I can quickly copy the public link. It has all of the things that we discussed. It has a link to the Magic Document formatter, and it also has a link to a blog post about those different insights that we have and what you can learn from them. So if you want to go back to that, feel free to check that out. I'm going to go to our chat, and I'm going to paste the link for everyone here. And I see we have another question as well. Is it planned to have multiple verifiers per document? So right now it's a single person. So for every document, you can set one owner. So if we go back to the verification, you'll see that there's an owner. I can always switch the ownership if I like. By default, the owner is the person that created the document, but you can switch it to someone else that can maintain it. Right now, yeah, one person. I did get the request from other teams, whether or not we can maybe also assign user groups. So I know that that is something that we're thinking about. There's no immediate plans yet, but it's definitely a suggestion that comes up more often. Okay, any final questions? We have a few more minutes together, so feel free to still drop something in the chat. What I can also point out, so for some of you who have maybe raised like a specific question or issue on their Slite accounts, the best way to get that over to us so we can help you to investigate is if you click on the question mark and then contact our support team. And here you can, immediately either submit feedback or you can send us a message. And that's the best way to troubleshoot things that are specifically tied to your account. Okay, if there's nothing else, I want to thank you all very much for being here today and for the good questions, the feedback, the suggestions. We'll be back with another office hours in April, so hope to see you there. Hopefully, I can show you more about enterprise analytics, the magic document formatter that doesn't go to Spanish, and Yeah, some exciting updates again. We'll pick another topic to dive into for the deep dive. So also, if you have any suggestions on that, feel free to let me know. The recording will be sent to you via email. So the moment I end this event, like it will be generated, and then within a couple of hours, you'll have it in your email. Right? Thank you, everyone, and have a very great rest of the day.